What is up, football fans? It is me. It's me. I am back. I'm helping out tonight. We're gonna go through should be a fun game, Colts and Ravens, for a showdown slate tonight. I think there's a few different ways that we can play tonight, so I'm gonna go through it with you. We're gonna break down both some GPP plays and maybe some more cash focused plays. If you guys are watching and you are on YouTube, please give us a share and a like. And also, if you have any questions, please do put them in the comments area. Since I am solo tonight, it would be helpful to be able to go through and answer kind of whatever questions you guys have. I will be following them, and I promise any appropriate questions asked during the stream, I will answer. So, Theo, how you doing, man? I love when Theo joins, always a good time, always bringing some positive vibes. So here's what we're looking at tonight. It should be a good game. Obviously, Baltimore is going to be favored here. And it really does depend how you're playing tonight based on how I would recommend play. So if you're going after tonight trying to take down the big GPP, the millionaire maker, it's a really easy strategy for me, right? If that's the play, if you're going after the big one, fade Lamar Jackson. Now, yes, he's the best player on the slate. It's no question about it. But if you want to win a big GPP with that many people with only one game, you got to be different. And Lamar Jackson, between the captain spot and being regularly played in a flex spot, he's going to be 90% owned. So basically, if he's in your lineup, you're going to split the big prize because everyone's going to have him. If you build a handful of lineups that don't have them, there's only 10% of the pool that you need to compete against. So the only chance of you winning a big GPP like on this slate is to fade Lamar Jackson. Now, I still think he should be in the winning lineup, but listen, this could be a slobber knocker type game where maybe there aren't a lot of scores and like a low scoring game, right? Then a guy like Lamar Jackson could not be in the winning lineup. So that is a possibility. But again, that's only if you're going after the big GPP. If you're doing a smaller tournament, then you can play them, right? You just have to compete. You don't need to have some out there low percent owned lineup. So how we're going to do today is we're going to run today's show similar to we do the college show, except there's only one game. So I'm going to pull up the salaries and we're going to go through who's kind of playable and who is not. So I'm sharing my screen now. Let's make it a little bit bigger. At the top, Lamar Jackson. Listen, he's the best player in this game from a fantasy perspective. There's no question about it. It's ownership, right? You can't win a big GPP with hundreds of thousands of people playing someone 90% owned. So if you're going to enter the Millie Maker, I think we can get creative and look elsewhere, and I'll go through how I'm going to do that. If you're not in the Millie Maker, he probably is. He deserves to be owned. He's probably must play from that point. Next up is Marquis Brown. So Hollywood is a good option. I think he's very viable here. He's the best receiver in the game. I do think he's a little bit overpriced to be the second highest priced player on the slate. I don't love, but I can certainly see him getting value here, having a few big plays. He's been great this year. And I don't really see the Colts as a great defensive team to stop him. So you can start with him if you wanted. My preferred play, and I think one really unique way to get different would be to play Carson Wentz. For what he is for a quarterback, he's probably a little bit lower owned. I think if you want to look at, if him running one in maybe and throwing a couple, there's a little bit more upside there. He's not going to be low owned just because he's the other quarterback and there's only two quarterbacks in the game. So that's the down draw to him is that, his upside isn't sky high. And it doesn't come with any ownership savings because there's no one else to really play. I love Jonathan Taylor tonight. They prioritize getting him the ball. My biggest concern with Taylor is their best lineman, I think, is still out. So Quentin Nelson is hurt. So without him, they still have a pretty good O-line. But I mean that hurts, and that's a net downfall against a pretty solid front seven in Baltimore. So they're gonna give him plenty of opportunity. I think from a GPP perspective, a good way to get different would be to go to the other guy back there who's Nyheim Hines. If they bottle up Taylor, I could see the Colts going to a game script where maybe they fall behind. They have to pass a lot. They have Hines in the game. So there's a lot of different scenarios where I think Hines can come into play. So Hines would be my preferred pivot. I do think Taylor's in play. I also like Hines. I even think you could probably play both of them if you wanted. Pittman, I like a lot. He's clearly their number one receiver. He's the guy they go to throw to. I think Baltimore is going to take him away. They have a good defense. They're going to try and probably make someone else beat them. And I don't think Pittman's like a Pro Bowl level player yet, where if Pittman puts all their focus on him, he might struggle. I also think the potential is there for him to have a good game. So my final verdict on Pittman will be play. I think he's in play for this slate. I prefer him over Pascal or some of those other guys. But on this top tier, I would say, he's in play. You can play Michael Pittman. I don't think he should be your best player. I don't think he's going to break the slate, but I definitely think, 70 to 100 yards and a touchdown is within reason. Pascal, I just think, you're really relying on a touchdown for him to meet value. If he doesn't score tonight, I just don't see him meeting value. So it's a pretty risky one. I mean, if you want to be different and rely on his touchdown, I can see it. But I think we can do better than Pascal. I actually like Murray a lot. I think this is a spot where they're giving him the ball. They want to run the ball. Everyone's going to be flocking to Lamar. Maybe it's one of those games where if Murray runs in 3 and Lamar doesn't throw one, right, then Lamar doesn't meet value. 90% of the pool is eliminated, and you're going to build starting with Murray. So I think that's a pretty intelligent way to go about this slate, and I'll probably be doing a few lineups like that. I like Mark Andrews. Has really come down. The fact that Mark Andrews is lower in price than Pittman, Pascal, even Murray, I find to be surprising. So I think Andrews is very much so in play. I'm a big fan of Andrews. I will be playing a good amount of him. And now let's go down to the lower tier here. Once we get through some of these backup QBs, then we start looking at guys like Sammy Watkins. Sammy Watkins has been playing pretty well. He is in play. The concerning thing about Watkins is that, and let's just double check while I have you guys here. Let's make sure. I want to make sure I don't give any false information. Rashad Bateman, is he officially playing? He's not. Okay, so I thought Bateman might have been back tonight, but he's not. So without Bateman, it leaves Watkins in play, I think, for sure. I think he's going to have more field time. So Watkins, I think, is a really good play here at 8,700. This is in the captain's pricing, so let me pull it over to the flex. But even more than Watkins, I'm going to skip around here. I think one of the best sneaky plays for me, especially with Bateman being out, is James Crochet. He's about 1K here. He's been rotating their third receiver spot with Duvernay, but he's better. He used to play for SMU. He was a stud at SMU. They were lighting teams up. He slipped in the draft because he didn't go to a major school, and he's been just making plays in the preseason. They were talking him up in camp and in the preseason games, and nothing seems to slow down. They finally started throwing him the ball last week, and he had a huge week. I think he had 5 for 75, 5 for 74, exactly. So I think they're just going to get him more and more involved, and I don't think he's quite on everyone's radar yet. So one of my sneaky plays of the day, James Crochet. Going back up to where we were, Nyheim Hines, like I said, I like Hines a lot. I think there's plenty of game script here where Baltimore stuffs the box. They don't have rushing success, and they go to a different look offense where they kind of feed Hines some different looks. So I think Hines is definitely in play here. I really like Mo Alley Cox. Where Baltimore is beatable is the tight end. They're getting him more and more involved. He's a huge body. He could be, even if he just has a game where he's like, 3 catches for 40 yards and a touchdown or 2, right? They look for him in the end zone. He definitely has that upside for touchdowns. I actually would prefer Mo Alley Cox to someone like Pascal because he has that touchdown upside. So definitely in play for Alley Cox. Now, Duvernay is kind of similar in the same vein as Crochet, except for I just like Crochet better. So we can get the savings with Crochet. But if you want to just be different and take one of these kind of secondary Baltimore receivers, Duvernay and Crochet are kind of like a coin flip. I prefer Crochet, but if you prefer Duvernay, I wouldn't. I can certainly see. I'd be definitely okay with that. Easy and Shorty. Yes, welcome to the stream. Yes, we're doing PGA this week. We're doing college football this week. We got a full slate, so you'll be seeing more and more of me. Always good to hear from you, and I know you've been hitting a pretty good hot streak recently. So your question, Latavius or Tyson? I think it's Latavius. Tyson, I don't think they fully trust him in pass protection. He's probably the better runner, right? So there's no argument there. But I think as a full package, I just don't think he'll get a full usage because of that, where I think they feel more comfortable leaving Latavius out there longer. So right now, I think it's Latavius. I think Tyson might be a good way to be different if you want. I don't think the coaching staff trusts him, and therefore it's hard for me to trust him right now. Now let's look at these defenses. Ravens D, I think they're in play. I would actually play both defenses. Again, if you're doing the GPP strategy that I said, where we're kind of fading Lamar, for that outcome to work, it has to almost be probably either a really low scoring game where there's not a lot of touchdowns, or the opposite. Even if it's really high scoring, Lamar is going to be in it, so it's got to be probably a low scoring game. So that puts defenses in play. I think I would prefer the Ravens defense. Maybe they get after Wentz and get a pick six. But I'd actually be okay with the Colts defense, especially if you're fading Lamar, right? Maybe he throws a couple picks or something. So I think both defenses are in play. Again, I wouldn't go crazy because defenses, it's just hard to get a lot of scoring. They're good GPP options, but I wouldn't go crazy with them. In terms of kickers, I hate playing kickers. Justin Tucker might be the best one. So if you want to play Tucker, again, it does go well with your fading of their quarterback. So they kick a lot of field goals, they didn't score. Fine, I'm okay with it. In general, though, I'm not a big fan of playing kickers, but it doesn't make sense for our narrative of a low-scoring game and fading Lamar. Jack Doyle, this is a dart throw. If you want to, he does have games where he pops every once in a while and gets 7 catches for 50 yards, which would more than break value here. So if you think they might pull one of those games, like I said, Baltimore is the team to target tight ends. He is number 2 to Molly Cox, but I do see a scenario where they play both of them a lot. So I think Doyle's in play as a back end dart throw. After that, I think that's about the extent of guys that we can actually play. As you scroll down here, I don't think any of these guys are worth rostering. So it's going to leave James Crochet. I mean, let's just see what your boy Tyson. He's going to be active tonight. But I say he's going to be the 3rd running back. So I don't know how much time he'll get. I think it's too risky. But James Crochet, that's my sneaky play of the day. It's a risky one. It was not someone I'd go all in on, but I do think for GPPs, he's blossoming. I think he will be maybe overlooked a little. And that's what I'm going to be going with. So if you're going for the Millie Maker, my biggest suggestion is fade Lamar Jackson, because otherwise you're probably just going to split the money, which could still be a nice payday, but you're not going to win $1 million with Lamar Jackson in your lineup. And then if you James Crochet is a good way to get different. Plenty of options to play. If you want to play smaller tournaments, Lamar Jackson is probably going to be the high scorer. I'm not saying I don't think he's going to play well. I just think you can't win this big tournament with him in your lineup. So if you want to play some smaller tournaments, Lamar Jackson's in play. You can pair him with any of his pass catchers. Mark Andrews is probably my favorite. My sneaky option is Crochet. And then on the Colts side of the ball, let's go James Taylor at running back. I definitely like Hines as the pivot at running back. Pittman's their best pass catcher, but my number 1 target on that side is going to be Mo Alley Cox. That's a wrap for tonight, guys. Good luck. I think it's an interesting day for DFS because it's not as obvious, right? It's not like there's Kelsey and Tyreek Hill, so I think there's some sneaky value plays to be found. Let's go get them and come back. Let me know how you guys did. Good luck, fam.